And that's another trading day in the bag. Wow, did I have some serious FOMO today after we missed that just amazing red to green move. MITO ran up just about 70%, 70% in roughly 7 minutes. Shortly right after I got out, cut my losses, took my 5% loss on that one. That's, I think, literally probably one of the most disturbing things that can happen to you as a trader. This time I followed my rules. I cut my losses when I hit my max stop loss and the trade was no longer really going my way. There was definitely some potential in it. I got out and then I was proven right and wrong at the same time. It was just miserable. Usually missing a trade doesn't bother me at all, especially if it happens after 11 or, when I've kind of ran out of trades. I don't know, I can sometimes sit back and it doesn't really bother me. But when I call out a move pre-market, and that's the lead gapper, and that's the exact stock and play that I'm looking for. And then the exact move happens a little bit later than I was expecting, but it happens. But then somehow I managed to take a small loss on it. Just freaks me out. It's like, oh, I don't think we would have held it 70%. I usually never do hold that long. I probably would have sold into 10, 20% profit territory and would have been super happy. I would have took my $250 profit roughly at this point in the small account challenge and would have been happy. And then we would have got that second trade. And today could have been a really, really big green day. Or I could have slowly sold out of my position, which I don't do that often, but this one's a little different because it ripped so fast. Plus, it got halted. So who knows when we would have gotten out. I mean, it was about 10% per minute this thing ran, so big potential. Afterwards, I had to be super careful not to revenge trade or do some extra FOMO trading. So I kind of let MITO do its thing without jumping back on it because I knew it would just really bother me if I took another loss on a potential green trade or a good moving stock. So I kind of left it alone and I was a little bit more reserved going forward. The markets started green and they went even more green. I think the NASDAQ was up about 1.5% and now it's looking pretty rough. It's about negative 1.5%. So everything's really pulling back. I did, however, have one more really nice dip buy trade that put me back green on the day. So I was pretty stoked about that. There's only a few stocks to review with you guys today, so it should be a little bit quicker of a recap. So if you like this content, definitely go ahead and hit that like button. And if you're totally new here, definitely consider subscribing. I would love to have you join the channel in an upcoming live stream. Let's get to the charts. All right, guys. So MITO, here it is, front and center. Whew, this is tough. This thing is gapping up 90% because it's up on a catalyst. The FDA grants a rare pediatric disease designation to it. It's not the same thing as a classic FDA approval, but enough to move this thing up 90%. It's 147 million market cap, at least now today it is. 75 million shares outstanding, although I believe it was about 7 million float, the actual float. So this thing is prime catalyst. The exact dollar area price range from $2 to $7 that we're looking for these small cap gappers. Everything about this company screams that it is going to be the one that a lot of traders are looking for. So I knew, there's a good chance since it is below VWAP that it might continue a little pull down here. There's big support at 2.7, 2.6, and 2.5 is always just in general big support area. And honestly, buying that dip to 2.56 probably just would have been a blind good trade. But let's kind of watch this thing, how it kind of unfolds from here. And let me just kind of go forward a little bit. And 8:15, 8:30, getting close to the market open. This thing is pulling back a little bit. And here we go. So it is 9:30, market opens, ding, ding, ding. This thing pulls back 2.6, finds some support in this area, kind of struggles, retested this area. I was kind of nervous here because sometimes when you have a clear breakdown with volume and then there's a retest of a former support area, that's a very bearish sign. So I was a little bit, pause off in this area. Let's go forward a little bit. But then this happened, a big move to the upside. This was about a 15% move. And I was like, wow, that's exactly what we were waiting for. Here's our red to green move. It pulls back. That's what I was waiting for. Got my first entry. And we had another pullback here and I got my second entry. But this pullback was a little bit more aggressive than I wanted. And I actually got my second entry a little bit higher here at 2.77 because I thought, from here, we're going to have a nice little move to the upside. Let me just move forward here on this one. And so here we go. Kind of continuation here. And this is where I actually got out. So we had one dip down here. We're kind of forming a little bit of probably on the 10-second chart, this would have looked like a bear flag. And this is really tough. The next candle, we dipped lower here. There is a lot of there was some bids here at 2.6 or something like that, and they were getting chipped away quick. And most times when you see a significant price range getting chipped away, there's going to be a break of that area. So a lot of times when I get out, I basically just forced the exit. I sold on the bid and I got out of this trade. Took my 4.5% loss or whatever this one was, maybe even 4% loss, because I had a little bit bigger of a position size on this one. And yeah, it was that same candle that actually moved back to the upside. And you can see here, it wasn't much longer till this thing just absolutely starts ripping to the upside, and just wait, because it gets even worse, at least for me. But we had a nice big green candle here, and honestly here I should have re-entered. I don't like re-entering right away because I only have usually 2 trades per day. So sometimes I'll really wait for a trade to come to fruition. I don't want to just blindly jump on anything too quickly, because I know it might be a little bit more emotionally fueled. Once we break the $25,000 challenge and we can move these funds from the cash account into a margin account, I will be able to, let's say, get aggressive again, even if I was wrong, and just quickly re-enter a trade, which, it could be good, could be a bad thing, but it is what it is. Let's keep going here. This thing just rips, has 1 minute pullback here, rips again, gets halted, and just keeps running up. And this was just really painful kind of to watch, because from this support area, it runs up about 63%, but from the low here, from where I basically got out of my position, it was a pretty clear 70% plus run. And most of this move happened in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 candles. That's like a 10% per candle. Yeah, I don't really know what to say. I was a little disappointed. And again, I didn't really just want to jump on right here at 320, even though I definitely should have. If I didn't do this trade, I probably would have done this one. And I'm a little disappointed in myself that I kind of let one trade mess up another trade, but that sometimes happens. And I also don't want to just get into another trade right away, like I said, because I'm limited to the amount of trades, and I also don't want to have some emotional revenge trading. But this one would have been the ticket, and I kind of felt it was warranted, but I just still didn't do it. The rest of the day, this thing kind of pulls back, consolidates. There's a lot of suspense kind of in this area for a while. Let me quickly scroll back. Are we going to break to the upside here? What's going on? I was expecting a little bit bigger of a pullback, but right here in the 407 area, it really started accumulating, and then eventually this thing did break out as well. So, nice move. But it only went to 5. I thought it was going to break 5. I thought this was going to be a little pullback area, and then we're going to rip to the upside, but it just was not able to sustain this area. It's also past 11. I don't want to be trading past 11, and this is exactly why. If we saw this same pattern at about 9:15, I almost guarantee you that this is a classic pattern that would break it to the upside. But here, after 11, there's not as many traders. There's just not as much volume, and sometimes these breakouts don't happen. Mind you, we're also at some really big resistance here, where we had a former big time bottom. So also the open of a big gap down area of $5. So, big resistance in this area. And I didn't really feel super comfortable, 1, trading past 11, and then 2, going long right under $5, which is a just ridiculous amount of resistance. So I didn't trade this one. This thing pulls back twice. I was thinking about even entering a trade here, but again, shouldn't be trading. And yeah, I don't know. This thing is officially kind of done. Maybe we'll see it tomorrow. There's probably a good chance we'll see it tomorrow. Primarily because a lot of these stocks that, if their first big green day, sometimes they'll try a secondary push to the upside. Plus, this thing actually has a nice catalyst. And it's really nice to see that. So who knows? I think MITO, there's a good chance it'll be on our watch list for tomorrow. Here's our next big lead gapper, HTBX, and this one had a huge run on Monday and actually the first big green day on Friday, and I kind of missed this one. I was a little bit late to the party, so I knew this one is maybe a little bit overextended. Plus, it wasn't even really a gapper. At most, it was up 17% pre-market. Although these are really low bounces, let's say all the way back to 0.6, then rallying back up here, that's a 66% move. So pre-market, it was very volatile. It was just a little bit overextended in its run overall. I didn't really want to trade this one out of the gate. I did have it as our second lead gapper because I thought there was some potential. It was also sub-dollar, so a lot of times I don't want to be trading these sub-dollar stocks. They sometimes move a little bit slower, and they're just a little bit more unorganized. And yeah, this one, out of the gates, kind of holds the highs here a little bit. Tried to break past VWAP, got rejected. 13% did down. It was kind of just constantly dipping down. And this would have been a really hard dip buy. Maybe here would have been one dip buy, but this is a really tough one to call. Is it going to pull back here? Is it going to go, I'd be looking at the bigger support area, 0.6, and then you miss this and all of a sudden 14% here, and I don't know, it's just so choppy. Then it finally gets to 0.6, then it dips under it. I don't know. This one would have been really, really tough to trade. 38 million market cap and 57 million shares outstanding, although their float was, I think, about 20 million. Dollar volume in general today, a little bit lower on the lower end, especially on what we were trading, except MITO is maybe doing all right. Let's quickly go to the long-term chart. Let me show you guys what this one looks like. So we had 2 big days here and then a pullback. So this 0.6 area, clear support because we have many tops in this area. We have the 180-day moving average right below it. That's also sometimes a really nice place for a secondary entry. So let me just go ahead and mark that. So yeah, clear support line bounce right here. Actually, it would have been a phenomenal trade today. Probably should have been a little bit more attentive to this area and put maybe one of my my support line bounce accounts on it or allocated a position to it. But for a breakout trading, gap and go strategy, this one wasn't really that interesting. This bounce overall 40%, so not that bad, but just it would have been really tough to time this one. I think HTBX. They did have some news out. Quickly going over here. Let's see. Heat Biologics launches program to develop vaccine designed to protect against COVID-19 coronavirus. So they did have a catalyst here today. So that's really, really good news. And they've had a few other things kind of just popping up since then. What was actually the thing on Friday? I didn't even look that up. So on Friday the 28th, we had daily deal with, okay, FDI node for Biohaven, nod for Biohaven. Okay, so nothing really specific besides maybe this deal, and any kind of corporation or collaboration with another company is usually always really, really good PR. So yeah, I mean, not really bad how this thing ran, but it's already up almost probably like 600%. So this is a really big run. It's still a sub-dollar, so it seems light, but it's just a big run, third big potential day. And yeah, you just gotta watch out with these stuff. Plus we got super rejected from these areas right here. Yeah, so I don't know, didn't really trade this one, wasn't really that excited about it. Potential dip buy areas for sure, having some kind of limit orders near some really intense, important support areas is never a bad idea, but we already fully allocated with that other account, so kind of just missed this one. Okay, so here's the last one I want to talk about, SCON, and this one pops up on our post pre-market scanner. Sometimes I say after-market open scanner, but post pre-market, it's kind of quicker to say. Anyway, this one had merger agreement catalyst. It was running really nicely. It was up. It was the biggest percent gainer on the day based on our scanner. The only thing was it had some really serious resistance right above, and you know how I feel about buying into those resistance, but those first 15 minutes right here would have been the ticket. It's also sub-dollar, but which kind of made me ignore this one at first. But it was up so nicely pre-market right here, about 145%, and then it kind of consolidates here and holds its high as well. So I didn't see this one pre-market, or maybe I did, but I wasn't really paying attention to it. Either way, I totally missed this move, and I think it's because it was sub-dollar. I don't know. Yeah, big break here. This was about 20% move. Pulls back to VWAP. Really would have been a beautiful VWAP buy right here, and then just keeps running. But again, I probably would have just not traded this one because it was sub-dollar, and I typically do avoid those. However, then this one starts pulling back, and this one does have a lot of volume, and a lot of people are trading this one. 7.3 million market cap, 17 million shares outstanding. It's kind of everything that I'm typically looking for besides just the price. Chart wise, let's kind of scroll back here. It's approaching big time resistance here at 0.6 or 0.56, big resistance, 0.6 as well, since it's more of kind of a whole number, I guess you can say, in terms of sub-dollar, and then here 0.5, and then the 180-day moving average as well. So we have all this gap down area here, just long-term resistance. So it's really struggling in this area, no matter even with this amount of volume. So we were not able to really break higher here. We tried twice and it didn't work. And I was thinking about trying to dip buy this the whole time as it starts pulling back. Every pullback wasn't as strong as I was expecting. So we had many of these little attempts. And every time we had an attempt, I would actually move my limit order lower because I was thinking, Okay, well that bounce didn't really work, and now it's kind of fizzling out again. And then this bounce didn't work, so I moved again my limit order down, and I moved it all the way down here, or almost down here, where we had this break from 0.4. So 0.4 again, kind of a whole number, I guess you could say, in the sub dollar category. And then a little bit before that is where I decided to do my entry. So 0.411, just a near perfect entry. Actually, not near perfect, but I think we risked about 1% on this one, 1.5%. I don't even remember actually seeing it red. It all happened really fast on this one. And we had a nice little bounce here, pulled back pretty quickly, which was a little nerve-wracking, and I was about to get out of this trade actually, but then luckily we ripped to the upside. I sold maybe a little bit too soon, but I don't know, I left maybe 2-3% on the table. So we got the meat of this move. It was really nice, and I was pretty stoked about it because it got us back green on the day, and it was kind of predictable in terms of understanding that here is big support. We had a crash down here, we had a retest, we had I would say a breakout from this area and a retest from this area. So we know there's big support and resistance alternating at about 0.4. So I guess you can say I front runned it a little bit, and then I sold as we were approaching VWAP again. Overall, pretty nice trade. And this thing, kind of just sells off again. I was actually about to do another trade here, and it was right when I was filming the intro. It was about 0.36, and I moved down my limit order again. I originally had it here at about 0.365 or something. And I moved it down to, I think, 0.34, something like that, 0.34, like 85 or something. So it was almost at 0.35. Just missed this one. This run was pretty nice, about a 20% move. I don't really feel bad missing it because that's not really my primary trading strategy right now with this small account challenge. So it's totally fine. But, interesting little move here. I kind of liked, watching it. After a while, I kind of got a feel for how it moved and made me a little bit more comfortable with it. And I don't know, we might see this one again since it's only the second green day. So I think MITO, HTBX, and SCON all have potential for us to see them tomorrow, except maybe HTBX. I think that's probably the least one that might be running tomorrow, but who knows? We'll see what happens. It'll be definitely good fun. It was really good fun having all of you guys on the stream today, and it was totally packed in there. And sometimes I apologize if I can't get to everyone's comment. Because I'm also focused on trading, and sometimes if I'm reading a message, I'll miss a setup. But you guys also call out some phenomenal stuff, and I think I even got I don't know about today, but I oftentimes get a nice trade because somebody calls it out in the chat room. So thanks for always calling out some good tickers. All right, guys, that's everything for this video. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you then first thing tomorrow. Don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoy this content, and definitely consider subscribing if you enjoyed GC. I would love to have you join the channel. Till next time, guys, stay safe and make some awesome trades. Ciao, ciao.